I am tired, as a brown person, of having to defend white people.
I mean, I'm not sure I have to well, I'd like you to elaborate if you might.
Yeah.
Please.
So there's been this trend of like saying like in the same way that, well, not just people have been saying, oh, white people always do this, and just oh, these old white people or whatever, throwing everything. And while yes, it is old white people making shit terrible, it is white people that have done a lot of the bad things, or white cops, white blah blah blah. It's not their whiteness that has made them do these bad things. And so in the same way, like, I think reverse racism is just racism. Like,
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so people going, oh, all white people suck. Like, no, that's pretty freaking racist.
Yeah. I would not say that. There are definitely extremists in all races, but I do believe that there is a privilege to being white.
Yes.
There definitely is. Fortunately, I'm blessed with many people around me who recognize their privilege and use it for good. Because, I mean, you can go either way once you have that knowledge, right? But no, I would never use a blanket statement and say all white people are this, all black people are that. Because, I mean, I have fallen victim to that, Why do black people do this? Well, why do you ask dumb shit, So, I mean, I can't answer that. Yeah, that's the heat expanded. Yes. Anyway. But no, I would never use I try not to use blanket statements like that for sure.
Yeah. But like it upsets me in the I have strong principles. And so if we're gonna be like, hey, everyone is equal, everyone is, everyone has the potential to be great people and also has the potential to be terrible people.
Yeah.
But like, if that's the case, then don't say stuff like there's a writer that got hired by, I think, the New York Times, and her Twitter, she's Asian. Her Twitter is just like, the tears of white women make me happy. And it's just like, damn. How do you get hired by the New York Times saying actually racist things?
Wow. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. And it's interesting, but I mean, one thing with that, I don't know this person, or I don't know that statement that was made, or I hadn't read it, but there is a possibility that they don't view that particular statement as racist. I don't know. I don't know. But then there is the idea that New York Times is such a quote unquote liberal paper that if maybe they just looked at that as a dissenting opinion, or maybe it's, kind of like, what's his name, the Combs guy for Fox or something like that. They need to have one or something. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, but I had not heard that.
So I mean, it's stuff like that, and it starts out subtle, right? In the same way that normal racism starts subtle, and normal racism has been resurfacing as very subtle. And
I think it's a little bit more blatant.
Right.
Well, maybe.
Lately it's becoming a lot more blatant. Yeah. But it started out as just like, ha, white people surfing, get it? But like, or I don't know, but like, now it's just becoming like, oh, white people, it'll be great whenever they're all dead, ha ha ha. And I was like, whoa, jeez.
Who are you listening to? I mean, I'm curious, who are making these statements?
I mean, it's like, that is the most extremes of the things that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've also been seeing a lot of people agreeing with it. And so it's also the people not necessarily on the farthest extremes, but just the people that are kind of close to it, that they don't necessarily have to say the things to like encourage it. And so it's like, screw all white people. And some people are like, kind of in the back of their mind are like, yeah, screw all white people. And I think that's how it started with like the alt-right too. And this is something that I was noticing, like even before the alt-right was like a thing. Whenever they were being like, ha ha ha, if the left hates Nazis so much, then we'll just like take that joke and just like run with it. And that's how it started, really. It was just kind of a joke. It's just, oh, you think that anything that says something even remotely conservative is Nazis. So we're just going to be like, sure, burn the Jews.
I sure hope not. God.
Right. But the thing is that what happened, while there were some people on the internet that are just edgy and they're just like, ha ha ha, it's funny. I don't actually want to burn all the Jews. It's just like, it's funny to like trigger people because they're annoying. But then you get the people eking out of the oozing out of the walls and being like, yes, actually burn all the Jews.
Crawling out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the more that they say it, the more it starts becoming a little bit more true, a little bit more self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's like, yeah, maybe black people are inferior to white people. And then they just like, it started becoming a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why it's astounding to see Charlottesville and go, these people are out in public why?
Well, because they have a representative.
Right.
They're here. They've always been here.
Yeah.
It's just now they have someone.
Yes.
And to solidify the stereotypes and to perpetuate the stereotypes, and I'm really apprehensive about. It goes back into the media and journalism. There's a difference between legitimate journalism and just trying to cash in. You need to know the whole story. But first of all, I don't believe that racism is racism. I don't believe in anything reverse racism. Secondly, there's been so many things. There's so many flashpoints or just points that are cause these racial tensions. People want to talk about affirmative action or that's one thing that's so hot. You know what I mean? But
I'm so weird with affirmative action. Actually,
well,
I don't know.
I mean, I see me being a black person. I don't necessarily, my resume speaks for itself. My transcript speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need anyone to ask to let me into a program because I'm black or something like that. My stuff speaks for itself. However, the way I interpret that is when there is not enough diversity in a place purposely, we have to look at that.
Right.
Be it, why are there no women here? Why are there are no people of color here.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you have to hire just because someone is brown, black, or whatever. If they're qualified and they happen to be brown, black, and whatever, hire them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying I'm looking for a handout. I've never looked for a handout.
Right.
So I'm not going to go ahead and talk shit about people who don't know me or whatever, because people can talk all they want to about me and assume this, that, and a third. But if they haven't sat and discussed things with me, they don't know.
Right.
So that's why I don't deal with the rhetoric and all that stuff and go to the side. So that's how I feel about that.
Right. But that's the distinction. I'm glad you made that very clear, in that there's a difference between like giving someone a handout and just asking the question and going, you don't necessarily have to go, oh, why are there no women here? Therefore, hire more women. That's not necessarily the conclusion that you have to arrive at.
Right.
It's just, why are there no women here?
We need to look at this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the more that we look at it, the more that becomes clear. But
yes,
first is that willingness to look at it.
I mean, the times are ever changing, so nothing stays the same, and we're all just apprehensive to change. So, but it's inevitable, right?
Right,
Seriously.
right.
So,
but I also try and go the opposite direction and go, it's like, I'm seeing this, it's even more mild than the like call white people thing is more of like white people being guilty for being white and saying like, oh, I'm sorry for like, you know, I'm white and so I have all this privilege. And it's like, you don't have to apologize to me for your privilege. Just like acknowledge that it's there and behave accordingly. But you don't have to be like, oh, like, you know, we've done so many bad things to you. Like, I don't want your apology.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'm not asking for any type of apology like that. But once again, as a Black person in America, I am aware of some of the sins of their fathers and mothers and their grandfathers and mothers and what they did to my grandfathers and grandmothers and so on and so forth. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm harboring any malicious intent.
Right.
But we have to recognize the sins of the past.
Exactly.
And address that if we are to build on a foundation. You can't build a house on a crappy foundation. So that's why we have to communicate and we have to discuss.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I am not going to fault you or anyone else because your great grandpappy lynched this person. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't cool, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to go ahead and say this, that, and the third. But at the same time, then we have the arguments of appropriation, cultural appropriation, which I kind of like to talk. I say it's misappropriation, but anyway, that's something else. You know, I'm not going to, it is a little irking to me when sometimes you'll hear people just kind of walk past talking about you right. And it's just like, that's when I feel me and my culture have, for lack of a better phrase, become a novelty.
Sure.
You understand? And that's when problems occur. Eric B. and Rakim came out with the song as a kid. For me, I ain't no joke. All right. And that's how I ain't no joke. I'm not a novelty. You understand what I'm saying? If that's part of your culture, that's who you are, represent. But to hear everyone like, ain't nobody got time for that or something like that, something stupid. It's just like, it's almost insulting to me, you know? So that's kind of how I feel about that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do like making clear the distinction between like political action and like cultural or social action.
Yeah.
And so kind of like regarding the Me Too thing, for example, like a lot of the things that have happened, a lot of the repercussions that has happened to all the people that have been outed as you know, assaulters or whatever, maybe not a lot of legal action can necessarily happen, but socially there's a lot of repercussions. And so, yeah, you can't arrest someone for, maybe you can't arrest someone for like a snide sexual comment or whatever, but like you can definitely be like, that dude's pervert and we're not going to talk to him, or we're going to, you know. And so there is a clear distinction between political action and social action. And so I do have a weird idea of the cultural, I guess, focus, in that maybe it's because I don't have that much of my identity that is influenced necessarily by my race. In the, yeah, I was born in Venezuela, but I came here in 2001. I was 6.
Okay.
And so for all intents and purposes, I'm essentially American.
Right.
And while like, yeah, I speak Spanish, and like, yeah, there are certain foods that my family makes that are different, or certain values or stuff like that. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily define Santiago Ramones. It's just kind of a part of the whole thing. Of course. So if someone of not Venezuelan heritage goes, I want to try and make some arepas, which is like a kind of food that we make. Okay. I'm not going to be like, whoa, slow down there. That's cultural appropriation. Right. Like, go for it. And it's like, I'm going to try and put, you know, sugar in the mix. I'll be like, all right, that's a little weird, but like, go for it, I guess. It's your version of our thing. And that's kind of how like the melting pot happens anyways.
That's
and
true.
So, I mean, New Orleans is like a great example of here's French people and black people and here's Dutch and all that stuff. And they took all the different cultures and slammed them together. And now you have a different thing that's now New Orleans.
Yeah.
And so the pushback with cultural appropriation seems a little strange to me because it's like, well, they're just, and yes, misappropriation is the problem.
Yes.
But like pushing back against, I don't necessarily see the problem if like, oh, white people can't have dreads. I was like,
no, I'd never say that.
Right, exactly.
No.
It's just one. It's just a hairstyle, so like leave it alone. But
I would actually disagree with that statement because I don't have a problem with anyone white having dreads, but the true definition of the dreadlocks has definitely been lost when you talk about Rastafarianism and how it came out of Jamaica in the 1930s and whatnot. Because the Rasta, you know, for a long time was hated people in Jamaica. You know, it wasn't until the late 60s, early 70s, maybe, that Rastas were more accepted culturally, socially. You understand? But dreads are a symbol of the casting away or kind of disowning working for someone else. You know, you're learning. Rastafarianism really has to go. There are certain characters or certain people within. You talk about Marcus Garvey, who prophesied that there would be a black king in Africa, who ended up being Haile Selassie, king of Ethiopia. Okay, so when he was crowned, he was envisioned as the person. Selassie I. That's where you get the I and I from. I and I. Okay? But being a Rastafarian, I'm not Rastafarian, you know, but these are things that my father, even though he was christened as Catholic, he still has these teachings. And this was all these musics were playing, Burning Spear, Marley, you know, Culture. These are roots reggae artists, Mighty Diamonds. But to be a true Rasta, you didn't work for anyone else. You worked off the land. The dreads were a symbol of your casting away of the establishment. So that's why in a lot of roots music, you'll hear people say bald heads versus the dreads. Because the shaved head, that's the clean heads, that's the conformity. The bald head is the symbol of conformity. And if there is a true Rasta who is disagreeing with me, I'm not. So I understand. Give me some knowledge. You understand? But from what I'm taking on reading about Marcus Garvey and his prophecies and knowing about Haile Selassie and the things that my father's taught me and coming from the music, that's what the dread symbolized. You know, you use your resources. You know, you grow your own food. You're not working for someone else. So in that, when it becomes a novelty and it's just this cool hairstyle, then maybe it's just like that's kind of wrong. But no, I would never say.
Right.
No.
Well, that's actually a really cool way of what just happened was how you make that less of a problem. If I made a mistake in saying just a hairstyle and you were like, well, no, actually, there's a lot to this. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you're good. No, and it wasn't even animosity. I was just saying, you know, I know this piece of information.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I don't represent it, even though I'm Jamaican. I'm Jamaican, for lack of a better word. That's how I recognize. You know, I'm not a Rasta. I'm not. You know. So I don't represent, but I have respect for. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's me.
Yeah. And I think it comes down to intent. So yeah, if someone intends to go, ooh, I want to get dreadlocks, because I think black people look cool with it, and I want to try it. That's a kind of slimy intent there.
I guess. You know, I don't want to knock someone, but I mean, I guess I can.
But if you go like, oh wow, I really like respect this culture, and I want to get into it. So like Eminem being as famous for rap as he is, he did it right. He took the time to like, no, I've listened to all this music. I know what all this is about, and I've had a similar experience to this. Let me tell you about that. And it's like, you can look at Eminem. He's not appropriating anything.
And that's exactly, he's the perfect, when I use the term misappropriation, he was the perfect example of what I was talking about. No one, I would never look at him and say, oh, well, he's not authentic. You know what I'm saying? So that's, it's not appropriating to him. It's not, or misappropriating to him. That's who he is in my eyes. I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? But, but he is the perfect example of that. So I'm glad you brought him up.
Right. Oh, maybe somewhere behind a closed door, Eminem like buttons up his shirt and he's like, "Oh well, finally, I've gotten all that money from that rapping music."
He may hear it. Look, I ain't trying to get in nobody's lyrics or nothing like that. I'm just shooting shots or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Too bougie for that. Come on now,
right? But even still, like, I wouldn't see someone going, "Ooh, arepas, let me put something weird in there that I like." I wouldn't necessarily see that as misappropriation if the intent is, well, I like this thing, I want to try something with it that I like.
Okay.
Instead of going like, "Ooh, Venezuelan, that's a buzzword. Let me just grab onto that and like, hey, look, this is a thing that this culture does."
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right?
Oh, yes. I hear you. I made this for you because that. Yeah, I see you.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And so, I wanted to take the like SNL Black Panther jokes, like, get your unseasoned potato salad with raisins out of here.
Oh.
Like,
I mean, yeah, I've never. It's such a, it's such a fine line. You know, like growing up in New York, I never really had to. I had to think about it. You know, growing up in Brooklyn and Staten Island, you think about it, but it just seems so much more apparent now. And that's just dumbfounding to me. It really is. But not 100% because we know what's happening. We know what's happened. And so, yeah.
I do find it difficult to navigate that sort of like purism sort of thing, in that like, I don't know, how do you make new strides in culture and sort of blend the things without sort of getting attacked, for lack of a better word, for like appropriating or misappropriating or whatever it might be.
You have to be genuine, I would assume. You know, I mean, but that's what makes oh God, sorry, I was gonna say, I mean, truly though, okay, yes. What really makes America great is the many cultures we have. You know what I mean? And I just can't. There just seems to be this isolation movement that's going on. It's like it's almost like the whole 50s or pre-1960s ideas of quote unquote not mixing the races and blah blah blah. And I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. But I mean, I don't know how we grow without genuinely listening. There's a difference between hearing someone talk and truly listening. Right. And that's probably a big, mentally, that's a trigger for me. If I feel like I'm not being heard, if I'm not being listened to genuinely.
Someone's just waiting for you to finish so that they can say their next thing.
You know? Yeah. I'm done. Because there's no reasoning. Literally, if you are unreasonable, not in the contemporary sense where you're being mean as unreasonable, but if you are literally unable to reason, it's almost a moot point. Yeah. I feel, to sit and discuss. But then the flip side to that is, well, how do we understand each other without the discussion? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, you know. But I mean, sometimes it's fatiguing. Yeah. And it's like, if I get tired of having to explain things or having to deal with assumptions, you know. A couple weeks ago, I'm not going to drop any names, but you know, there was a former employer of mine who made a comment and asked me if I could floss. the dance. Like, no, I don't do that. And someone was like, well, his skin is a little darker than mine. So I'm like, are you serious? You know, so it's like the fact that it's just, it's fatiguing in those moments, you know?
But at the same time, we don't want to mistake ignorance for malice.
Right. I know it's not malicious. I know that wasn't.
Yeah.
But it's just like
it is definitely ignorant. It's like, but and at the same time, it's not necessarily bad to be ignorant. It's bad to want to remain ignorant.
True. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Unreasonable. Yes.
And so it's like, oh, do you know how to do this dance? You're black, you know dance, right?
Yeah, like,
okay. No, what?
You know?
And maybe they had pure intent in that, and they're like, oh, dance, yes? And so, no, that's not how that works.
Yes. It's like,
and it's, oh crap, I just offended you. That was really bad of me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And if that comes across, then it's like, all right, you're good. Now you know.
Yes.
Like, don't just ask black people if they can dance.
Thank you. Yes. And I'm apprehensive sometimes about even using the word offensive because I feel like it's losing its meaning.
Yes.
You know, it's not necessarily that situation was offensive, much as it was the PR in me wanted to say, "Ooh, please don't do that with anyone else." You know what I mean? It's like I'm your friend.
Yeah.
Don't say that to anyone else because you never know. Which, going back to the young lady who I mentioned earlier with the drink, that's something I conveyed. It's like, yes, just because your people are cool with that doesn't mean that everyone else is. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with who you're going with. You know, when we're playing, it's cool. You know, when you know somebody like that, then it's different. But if you don't know me like that, there could be a problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
and it does have a lot to do with like knowing people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I was once, I can't remember the artist who they were setting up for, so I can't actually, I do remember the artist, so I just won't say.
Okay.
But I was working at Tower Theater for a little bit. Okay. And I was helping this crew unload all their gear from their tour. And so this pretty conservative older gentleman was like, kind of ranting on about liberals these days or whatever. And kind of talking about, like trans is just kind of a weird thing that they just don't want to decide on the blah. And I was like,
why?
Look, you don't know anyone trans, it seems, or you don't know, or if you do know someone trans, you don't know them well enough to know how this is for them.
Yes.
So just, you understand respect. And we got into like a big thing about respect and blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, all right, so if you respect someone, just use the pronoun that they asked you to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, like, hey, I wouldn't like it if you called me bitch. So don't refer to me as that. And it's cool. Thanks for respecting me enough to refer to me in the way that I would like to be.
You know, I've been called a bitch. I don't mind. You know, but like I said, it depends on how well you know me. You know what I'm saying? So you can call me bitch all you want to. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's more about respect and intent rather than, but that's the thing is, if they don't know anyone or know anyone well enough to go to know that this is a problem, then because then it just becomes the excuse, kind of like that girl at the bar. It's like, I have black friends,
yes,
so I can do this.
Yes.
I have gay friends, so I can say this. No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, it's like I said, I'm in an interesting place being openly gay, being black, being first generation American, because, you know, in certain instances, you know, a Caucasian may assume this one thing about me, but even in the Black American community, it's like there's this idea of quote unquote talking white. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, why you talk white? And it's like, what does that mean? I understand what you're what you mean.
Yeah.
I need you to elaborate for me, but and that's kind of reciprocating a level of ignorance as well.
Yes.
And that's something I feel very strongly about as well. But then also even being openly gay. Oh, well, you know this, that, and the third, or it's like, you two are gay. Why don't you guys get together? Bitch, because I don't know him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like...
This isn't a desert island. Like...
And when I say bitch, I don't like mean like, that's... these are, anyway.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is that, like talking white, for example,
yes.
Why do you perceive talking white to be a bad thing per se?
I know what the answer to that is, what their answer to that is, but that's not a thing. Being articulating what you're saying for me, even though I have a bit of a New York accent and, I've taken several diction classes and studied several languages, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I've just always tried to articulate what I have, or my voice. So I get that. I get what they're saying, but whether they're playing or not, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. It does happen. But I can remember a time being at UCO in the concert chorale, my first semester, my first year, second or first semester. And I said something, and there was a gentleman in the choir who said something. Well, why are you saying it like that? Why aren't you saying it black? And then my homeboy laid into him. Needless to say, that person was not back in the choir after that. Wow. I mean, I didn't make a big deal out of that.
Sure.
I was just like, okay, that's the type of ignorance I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So that it is what it is, and you got to leave that alone. I mean, you can try to convey what you're conveying, but at the end of the day, if they're not receptive to it, it's a moot point. And that's where the word unreasonable or being reasonable those come back in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but I mean, and kind of going back to the original, like, kind of like I'm having to defend white people per se. I like tried once just to go, because I did see someone say on Instagram or something like, oh, something about all white people, and then like,
oh, Jesus.
So just a global thing, and I was like, that's pretty racist.
Yeah.
And so someone responded very heated, like, oh, like you can't be racist against white people, blah blah blah, bye. And I was like, you don't even want to have a conversation, like, and at the same time, like, you can see that my name is Santiago Ramones on my profile, like,
I mean, for real, all right.
So it's not like I'm just a white dude over here be like, oh, white people are being mistreated, like, no, I'm just over here being like, that sounds pretty racist.
Yeah. I mean, they're everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I just, but then I feel like some of these, what we're facing today is because a lot of those stereotypes are being perpetuated in certain media outlets, but not just media outlets, but even in artistic outlets, like the way black people are portrayed in movies, on television. There's when I was a kid, you had a lot of black television. You had Cosby Show. You had A Different World. There was always black programming. Today we don't have that. You know what I mean? And there were certain images that were portrayed during that time. There were certain things, certain topics that we faced depending on the show. You know what I mean? It seems that has been lost along the way, and the stereotypes are just being perpetuated, and then these buzz phrases, these catchphrases are just kind of how people get to know people of color, or how, they learn about the characters they see on television and the news. Otherwise, I mean, instead of knowing the people, you know what I mean? And that kind of, that's heartbreaking to me, because I would categorize myself as an emotional person, you know what I mean? But I'm not one to hold my tongue, but at the same time, I'm not going to make anyone feel bad, but you got to talk.
Right. Well, I think maybe that sort of like representation sort of thing kind of comes out of a lack of not so much a lack, but it was sort of a half step in that maybe after a while people were like, oh, maybe we shouldn't just distinguish like black television and white television. Let's just make it everything television.
Mm-hmm.
And like, while that makes sense, at the same time, just kind of striking it all and not pointing out the differences anyways. And so just like, oh, here's a Hispanic family show, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're Hispanic. It's just like a family show. And it's like, well, sure, but the Hispanic thing is going to come in there eventually because it's going to be a factor.
Yeah, and I feel it should. Because, I mean, not that we shouldn't embrace other cultures, but I feel a sense of pride having Jamaican parents and being Jamaican.
Right.
You know, I don't necessarily want, even though Jamaica may not want me, I still want Jamaica. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to leave that. I don't want to leave that part because I love that part of my identity. I do, you know? And so, I mean, yeah, I guess you can, I like how you said that, you know, you just want to be a family. You don't want to necessarily be, like, I just want to be Troy. I don't necessarily want to be the black singer or something like that. You know, I hear what you're saying on that. You know, when do I just get to be me? And I've asked that question.
Yeah.
It's like, when do I stop getting to be this, that, and the other thing, this, that, and the third? And when do I just get to be Troy Anthony Small? You know, it's hard though.
Yeah.
It's a little from column A, a little from column B. You know?
Right.
So.
And it's weird because it's a dissonance too, because if you try and strike the, like, everyone's the same thing without addressing the initial issues that cause the differences to begin with, then, you know,
exactly,
we're not at the point yet that everyone is so equal at face value.
Right.
And so, yeah, we are going to notice whenever, like, in fact, the Marnie, what I was watching earlier today, the main character was played by a white woman. And then there were scenes where they showed her mother, who was played by I think she was black, but so it's like, you do want to go like, wait a second. Like, you can't just do that necessarily because your brain is going to notice.
Oh, but you can.
Right. You can.
Yes.
And so you're able to, like, suspend your disbelief and go, this is an opera.
Yes.
And they cast characters.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, if we still have that little thing dangling in the back of our minds, it's like, her mom can't be black if she's white.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure there are genetic probability. There's one out of every something that could happen.
Right. And that's even more difficult if you try to justify.
Right. Yeah, seriously. I like your, you know, as someone who's performed in opera, I've been fortunate enough to play, one of my characters was Grandpa Moss in Aaron Copland's The Tenderland, and my granddaughter who sang Lori, her name Jessica Adkins, she is Caucasian, so it was kind of an interesting mashup. You know, it was a very diverse cast.
Right.
So I mean, that happens in opera, but I hear what you're saying. Particularly, it's harder to explain. But I will say, you know, with a little bit of commercials and advertising I'm seeing a lot more interracial families and a lot of more multicultural families, which is kind of cool to me. That's really cool to me.
Yeah. But like, first we have to, whenever people say like, oh, I don't see color.
Oh, come on. That's you trying to convince me.
Right.
That's you're trying to convince yourself and whatever.
And so first we have to actually make the thing equal before we can not see color. Because there's still going to be that thing. It's like, her mom can't be black, she's white. and if just at first everyone's equal and go, we have a diverse cast and they're all characters, cool. But that's the thing, we're not equal yet. And so I was listening to a podcast before coming here that they were talking about like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like Idris Elba was the next James Bond?
Okay.
But at the same time, right now, if the things that James Bond does would be very, like, there's a lot of tension. And so James Bond in a movie sees a guy, oh, I need that disguise, takes him to the bathroom, beats him up, and then takes a suit. And it's one thing for white British James Bond to do that, but for a black James Bond to take a guy into the bathroom, beat him up, and take his outfit still has a lot of tension nowadays. Because white people will go, like racist white people will go, oh look, just a black dude beating people up, and it's like, gosh dang it, we can't do this yet because people are still too racist to let that slide.
Well, there's no pleasing everyone, right?
Right.
I mean, there are just those who are that ignorant who are going to say something dumb like that. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, but there comes a point where it's hard because you want to talk about it. You want to address it with these folks, but some of them aren't receptive, and it's fatiguing.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, it's hard. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine. You know, Chris Prather, I did an interview with him a while back, and one of the things I said about me is that it's not my quote unquote privilege is not lost. It's not lost upon me that I have an even diction. It's not lost upon me that my name is Troy. You know, it's not lost upon me that I live in the Paseo. You know what I mean? But I didn't always live here. You know, I grew up in New York City. But if you want to say that I'm privileged in some way, shape, or form, I'll own that. You know, but I still, the black don't wash off. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm privileged to a point until I'm black to a point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. The second I speak my mind, the second I argue with someone, oh, angry black guy. There he is. There he is. There's the real Troy. You know what I mean? So there's just some people you're just not going to please. And they're just people who think they know you when they don't and don't really care to know you. So I'm like, all right, at the end of the day, you got to let them go. Yeah. Right.
And at the same time, like, I acknowledge my privilege in that I'm essentially white. Like, there's not a trace of an accent on me. And aside from my name, I'm passable white. And I literally have not had any experience where my race has caused me to be treated differently.
Glad to hear that.
I've been lucky in that sense. But like, I acknowledge that that's not the case for everyone. No. And there is a point where it does catch up to me and it goes like, I didn't vote in this election. Why didn't I vote? Because I'm not a citizen. That's why I can't vote.
Okay.
Why am I not a citizen? Because it's very difficult to do so.
Yeah.
So like you said, it catches up.
Yeah.
And so I may be, you know, essentially like 90% white culturally, but then that last little thing, like my driver's license still says temporary on it.
Okay.
Like,
okay. No, I hear you.
So I mean, it's weird, but I don't use my culture or my ethnicity as like or I try not to use it as a thing, you know?
No, I don't. In what way or with what?
Well, I could be making like salsa music and merengue and
I see.
And being like, oh, I'm Santiago Ramones, like okay. And here's my shtick. Like,
I hear that.
That's not me. I don't make music like that, and my ethnicity isn't readily apparent in the music that I make.
Understood.
Right. And I don't want to like force that to be a thing.
I hear you. That makes sense.
Because then you're kind of playing into the novelty that like they want you to take.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're black. Don't you sing soulful? Like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yes. Seriously.
But again, that dissonance, because it's like, you can, if the untrained ear will still hear someone singing and go, she sounds black, you know?
Yes, they do.
And so that stuff is still there. and we can't just pretend that it's not.
It's true. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean, when I first heard Hiatus Coyote, I was like, what? I don't know if you know about Hiatus
I've
Coyote.
heard a little bit.
Oh my. Miss Napalm. But anyway. But yeah, we all have those assumptions where it's like, oh, it's like, oh. But I do my best to not assume. We know what to say about assuming.
But it's also kind of weird because you don't want why am I blinking on the Porgy and Bess? You don't want Porgy and Bess to be played by a white cast. It's like, ugh.
Yes,
that's
Madam
really
Butterfly,
uncomfortable.
Porgy and Bess.
Yeah.
When you brought up the opera earlier, those are what I initially thought. Yes, which actually has been controversial because if I'm not mistaken, there was a European company in the last year who did a Caucasian Porgy and Bess or a heavily Caucasian. I don't know if it was staged, if it was staged finally, but it was definitely an issue, and it still is an issue.
Yeah,
you understand. Coincidentally, Porgy and Bess was the first opera I was in with Tulsa Opera in 2007 as a chorus member. So I mean, it was really interesting to me because yes, Porgy and Bess was written by George Gershwin. Who obviously was not black, but and it's written in
what George Gershwin?
You didn't know that? No, he ain't black. Oh no, but it was interesting to me that it was also written in a Gullah dialect. You know, so it's like kind of like one of the choruses where there's a storm is like, oh, there's somebody knocking at the door, somebody knocking at the door, you know. So yeah, I guess won an all black cast singing that. I mean, it's such an edgy subject,
right?
It's so edgy, but then that also goes to the Madam Butterfly. I mean, should Chow Chow San or should Caucasian women be singing? You know, that's another question. I'm not saying yay or nay, but that's another question that's going to come up. Seriously.
And I think that as long as people treat it with respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, if the European cast that was doing Porgy and Bess is respectful to where it came from and who all did it, then yeah, if they could definitely do a really good performance.
No. I hope so. I certainly hope so. Really don't know what happened with that.
Right. In the same way that, like, yeah, there's a lot of white jazz musicians and killer jazz musicians, regardless of race.
Yeah.
But, like, we all know where jazz came from.
I mean, yeah. Seriously. But I'm not going to go challenge Eminem to some freestyle. Hell no.
Exactly.
Are you crazy? I mean, I love hip hop, but I mean, I don't feel like I have a voice for hip hop, so I'm not going to throw any freestyles or any bars on anybody.
Right.
So,
and then the other weird part too, like kind of acknowledging the novelty, you don't want Othello to be played by a white dude because that's a character trait essential to the character.
Yeah. And it's interesting because there are such, particularly with Othello, of course, but even with Zauberflöte, Magic Flute, Mozart, I was blessed to have sang the role of Zarastro 4 years ago, and there are certain lines in there. You know, there are certain misogynistic lines in there, so you're just like, okay. Now I'm like, okay. But then there are also references to the Moors, and then there are certain things which may have been lost in the original translation, but which aren't necessarily things that I agree with. But then after performing this role, I kind of, for a long time, said, I don't know if I'm comfortable singing this role again, you know? And so now I have to think, you know.
Right. And do we readapt Magic Flute to like not do that, or do we just kind of phase it out because it's seemingly racist? Like, how do we?
It depends on the director.
Yeah,
I mean, I took your question as rhetorical, but I mean, the only reason I answered is because you are going to have those productions where they kind of make cuts or blah blah blah. You know what I mean? So it could happen. It could happen. There. I mean, particularly with operas today, if it's not necessarily newly composed operas, but I mean, you'll see productions of like I think I have a copy of Norma, Bellini's Norma, which is my favorite opera from 2006, but they have rifles. Well, that was set in 50 BC Gaul. So, I mean, they make their adaptations. So you never know.
Right.
But yeah.
But probably a better way of acknowledging it is like, because then if you start changing too much, then it starts being like revisionist history sort of stuff. And that's...
the integrity is lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe at least to begin with, you can go, this was written at a time where Mozart didn't have that much of cultural understanding.
But neither did most of the world.
Right.
So yes.
Yeah. And so this is a thing that's in there. We're going to perform it as it's written.
Yeah.
But it's in there. We acknowledge it's sketchy.
Yeah.
I think any cast that decides to do any Wagner should probably go, let's all be very upfront and clear about this. Wagner was an anti-Semitist.
Yes.
Yes. So now that we all know that, we can try and look at the art as it is.
Yes.
But keep that in mind. That's a thing.
As I studied Wagner, I asked myself, should I be, I joked with Dr. Eckert. I said, would you, he probably is rolling over in the grave that I'm studying this aria right now. You know what I mean? But these are questions I have to ask myself, Yeah. I mean, he's not getting any royalties, obviously, but these are questions that I ask, because
yeah. And separating the artist from the art is a weird thing. I can't listen to Kanye anymore.
I haven't listened to Kanye since Flashing Lights. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you. It's whether it's a publicity stunt or not. I can't disrespect those who came before me, and to be as condescending with some of those comments, I don't agree with.
Right.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, sometimes people do say like, oh, you got to separate the art from the artist, but it gets to a point to where you really can't. Like, yeah, maybe with Mozart, he was just like, again, ignorance versus malice. With with Mozart, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of was the thing, and they didn't really meh. But with Wagner or something, or with Kanye, who's actively saying these things and kind of promoting his art in that way, it's like, I don't really know if I want to support you in that way then.
Yeah. I hear that, and I agree with that 100%. I mean, I totally agree with that. I'm rather disappointed because you look at Kanye, the producer, to me was amazing, especially when he first hit the scene, with the Jay-Z albums, in the aughts. That Kanye's producer is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed. But who am I?
Right.
I mean, I'm
just listen to Childish Gambino instead.
Who now? Oh, Childish Gambino. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. that This Is America dropped. I'm gonna tell you this. These windows were rattling. I was on one for like a week. I was like, don't nobody say nothing stupid to me right now. It's ready to ride. Because that hit. That spoke volumes. And that was just the most brilliant piece of art that I feel has been presented this year in a long time. Long time. Yes, This Is America, y'all. But even before that, but that was the one. That's the one.
But I mean, we can encourage artists that do the thing well.
Yeah.
And just kind of, if everyone was just like, Kanye, stop it. We're just not going to listen to you anymore. Like, that would shut him down real quick.
Maybe. Hopefully, but there's always an avenue, isn't there? There's always a market for something. But I hear what you're saying. But someone somewhere loves him. So it's real disappointing.
Right.
But
that someone somewhere is going to find themselves saying something very problematic very quickly and lose some friends.
I mean, but sadly, whenever I see something on the news, if I see something where such and such was fired for racial comments, blah, 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 ACLU has stepped in, I always think in the back of my head, well, what right-wing extremist is going to go contact them?
Mm-hmm.
What right-wing lawyer is going to go contact them and represent them?
Yeah.
You know, you've just given them a platform in some way, shape, or form. For
Yeah.
every action, there's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's fatiguing, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I think there was a thing where Harvard was
The Asian student.
Yeah, the Asian student thing.
Yes.
And the ACLU was like,
Yes.
we're with Harvard. You can discriminate against Asian students. It's like,
Yeah. I don't know what. Are they ruling on that? That was a yeah. I don't know if it's gone to the Supreme Court. I don't remember.
Right.
Yes.
But it's still just like ACLU. You were supposed to be on like the everyone side.
I guess what would the argument be? Affirmative action? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the weird thing with affirmative action because
Yeah.
I too like. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want your handout.
Right.
Let me like work my ass off and get here.
Yeah.
My way.
But I do understand that there are certain companies who purposely may not be diverse, and then it's like, well, why aren't you hiring people of color? Why aren't you hiring women?
Yeah.
Why aren't you? You know. So and that type of thing. I think that's where it may be beneficial, but I'm not trying to have anybody do anything for me. I got this.
Right.
Trust.
Yeah.
I got this.
And other times, like the evidence is confused with the cause. So
okay. So what they're referring to?
Yeah. So I don't have all of the facts on this, so I might be putting my foot in my mouth. But like, so the wage gap with men and women, it looks like the statistics say that like this is just how much men are being paid, and this is how much women are being paid. What it doesn't say is like why or how or whatever. What it's saying is this is the average male pay, this is the average female pay. And so to confuse that with saying, people are paying women less, that's not necessarily the case. It may just be that like, oh, maybe statistically women do these things more, or maybe statistically men do these things more. And so, and again, that's not even like a claim about should or whatever, but if women do this more, then that's what the statistic is going to say. And so if we ask the question, go, instead of going, why are people paying women less? We should go, why are women lower on average on this thing? And it's a different question. You're asking,
I don't know.
Why in a different direction?
I don't know, but honestly, I don't know if that is a different question. Because, I mean, I hear what you're saying in some way, shape, or form where maybe there's a ratio or something, or maybe it's a difference in position, you know what I mean? But I can tell you that one case in point, I'm not going to name drop or anything, but I know of people I work with currently who are at the same, or in the same tier of position, one being male, one being female, one being a woman, man and woman, who are in the same position, yet the man is getting over $10 more an hour in the same position, even though the woman has been there longer. And so in that situation, but then at the same time, there may be an asterisk. Maybe there's a difference in degrees, you know.
Right.
But I know there's a difference in degrees, but I don't know if that's a factor in that.
Right.
So in those instances, I have to ask. But then also, it's not just women in general, because statistically speaking, you hear these numbers about women being paid less than men, but also we're really talking about white women, because the numbers show that even black women make less. You know, so there's all
exactly,
you know.
But again, the solution isn't necessarily, oh, let's just raise women's pay to like make that
I hear that
equitable. It's like, no, you You want to figure out why
exactly,
and then
yes,
and then accommodate those things.
I agree.
And
I
so
agree.
not necessarily like, oh, because affirmative action, like, let's just give these people handouts.
Right.
It's all right. Well, why are people of color statistically less,
Why are we being paid less?
well, paid less or have less accomplishments on their resume or whatever. And so it's like, if you are blindly looking at resumes, I think statistically, yeah, like Hispanic people are going to have less accomplishment than white people. And that probably has some underlying racial thing.
Really?
But like, it's just probably because, Hispanic people and Hispanic culture or wherever they come from or what it is, because of where they grew up or how they grow up or their culture and what they value, and all these different things affect that thing. And so, yeah, a white resume might be more likely to have better looking stuff in it than a Hispanic person or a black person or whatever.
I don't know about that, though. I mean,
well, no, I think it's true in that, like, I'm poor. So what that means is that there are less things that were available to me
okay,
growing up.
okay,
So maybe I didn't have the time to like go volunteer at a shelter or something.
I understand
or
what you're
and
saying.
So it's
now.
like stuff like that
Okay.
looks really nice on a resume.
Right.
Or, they were involved in golf or NHS or whatever that might have been. And it's like, well, some of these organizations have entrance fees. It's like being in band or going to Allstate or whatever.
For
like,
sure.
That has fees.
Yeah.
And so, like, I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
So that doesn't show up on my thing because I wasn't able to do that.
Right.
And so because of the poor thing, but I also happen to be Hispanic, my accomplishments are not going to be equal to
someone with the means and who has the capability.
With the means.
I hear that.
Yeah.
But there's also, yes, I agree with that. But I mean, even I'm looking at my life right now. And yes, I agree with that. If you have the means, yeah, it's easy for such and such to go take gymnastics. It's easy for some, but I mean, yeah, economics definitely play a role in that. But it goes back to my earlier point where you got to use your resources and you have to figure out that way. When I'm blessed that my parents worked so hard, and they put me and my younger sisters through so much. They put my younger sisters through Catholic school. I did karate from like 3rd to 4th grade, and after so they did that. They paid for that.
I wish I could have.
But not necessarily that they had the money,
right?
You know what I'm saying? But they worked hard and they wanted to see their children grow. That's why they left Jamaica. That's why they came here. I'm not saying. I understand it is not always like that because we went through struggles too,
right?
You understand? But I basically, outside of that, they always just kind of try to involve me as much as possible, or tried to get me off the couch as much as possible. I was in JROTC in high school, so I did a lot of that. I did a lot of outdoor things there. I was still fat, but I did that. But I did some JROTC things. I was in Explorers BSA, so I have that under my belt. But something else, my mom, she was always trying to get me to go out and do certification. So I mean, when I was like a junior or a senior in high school, she had me go to the YMCA. And I would just take classes, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I learned basic plumbing and carpentry there, and I got a certification, So my parents were always encouraging of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we had the money. They didn't have the money to pay for this, that, and send me to camp or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But not that I ever wanted to go to camp. Well, I went to, in ROTC, I went to summer camp for one summer because I wanted to, But even so, I'm like, I have those little things to put on my resume. Not necessarily the high school certifications anymore, but that kind of set the tone for me in college. So I just kind of used those outlets or those opportunities I have, and that's why I guess I have these things, those certifications. You know what I'm saying? So
But I do think, and this eventually makes its way back to like free will. In that, so your parents knew that hustle.
Yeah. Still hustling.
Right.
60s and still hustling.
Right.
About to.
But like, can you imagine, someone else, same thing, coming overseas from somewhere else, but like maybe they don't speak English as well, and so they don't know how to and they don't know that this is an option. They don't know that like, oh, if you go to this thing, they do this thing for free, and you can actually do that, or like this charity thing, this program does a thing, and if you don't know, those options aren't available.
It's true.
And so like going to free will, it's that if you don't know that that's an option, then how are you able to make that choice?
You're not.
Right? Yeah. Right. And so like
I know that was rhetorical again.
Right. Yeah. So like some kid growing up in the ghetto and the gang life is all that they know. How the heck are they going to know? Is like, no, actually, if you like go to school, get good grades, you can get a full ride scholarship to college, and like you'll be out of here.
Hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if all of their environment is telling them like, no, you got to be out here selling drugs, kicking ass, killing people, whatever that might be, they don't know that there's a life outside of that.
Well, it's not just there either. Sometimes it's within those schools.
Yeah.
It's within, it's their teachers,
Yeah.
who don't encourage this. Like I said, when I was in high school, I was in a math and science honors program. I didn't do particularly well. I did not, but I thought I had this mentality that when I graduate, I'm going to go into computer science. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I loved computers and I wanted to go into computer science. But I really can remember a time, even though I didn't do great in high school. I did, as I progressed in high school, I didn't really care about academics anymore. In junior high, elementary, I didn't have to try. But as I grew older, I didn't really have the encouragement. I didn't have the support, the academic support. I just kind of bumbled around in high school for a little bit academically. Right. It wasn't until like my junior year where I really kind of got it together. My sophomore year was academically terrible, but I can remember a time being encouraged to leave the program because my grades weren't what they wanted to be. I finished the program, but if you're not being encouraged into other avenues, if you're not being looked at, if you're not able to address those things, then I mean, yeah, it's hard. Yeah. So it's product of your environment, but it's also, product of the system.
Yeah.
Because the system, look, point blank, civil rights, voting rights, 50 years ago, just over 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not lost on me that our system was not set up with me in mind as a person. I was 3/5 of a person. Maybe not even in the beginning, I wasn't even a person. You know what I'm saying? I was property.
Right.
So when folks love to refer to the quote unquote founding fathers, I have to remind them, well, your founding fathers enslaved my people. I mean, I get what you're saying, life, love, and pursuit, but that goes back to the earlier discussion. We have to acknowledge that. And I'm not chastising anyone today for that,
right?
But know that I recognize it. Know that I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's build upon that foundation. Do you see it too? How are you going to work this out?
Right.
There it is.
Yeah. And
that's it.
Yeah. If we acknowledge that this is a problem in the system and go, hey, maybe if we actually tried to do something,
maybe
we can actually update.
Maybe. But it goes back to the old cliche saying, you got to know your history to know where you're going, right? You got to know where you've been to know where you're going. Yeah, so
yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Troy, this has been great.
Yes, thank you, Santiago. I hope I haven't droned on too much.
Oh, no, this is great.
Thoughts all over the place.
We can slowly making more people more woke.
You want to listen to something, Wake Up and Live by Bob Marley and the Wailers. Wake Up and Live. The Survival album, Bob Marley and the Wailers, 1979. I don't think there's more a more applicable album in these times right now. Just So Much Trouble in the World, another song. Anyway, thank you.
So where can we find you in your things?
Okay,
Plug your stuff again.
Once again, you can find me at www.troyanthonysmall.com. That is www.troyanthonysmall.com. You can also find me on Twitter. The handle is It's Just Troy14. You can also find me on Instagram as Troy Anthony Small, or you can find my music at Reverb Nation, Troy Anthony Small for the classical stuff. Now, if you want me as a singer-songwriter, I'm also on Reverb Nation as Troy Small, just Troy. Several places.
Yeah. Why you gotta say all that white, man?
I don't know. Okay, was that wrong? I'm sorry. I do voices. I'm not making fun of anyone. I do different characters. So anyway.
And obviously no ill intent
no disrespect. Please don't come find me. It's love.
I'm Santiago Ramones.
And I'm Troy Anthony Small.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. You can download or pay for my music, and you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, or on YouTube, or on my website itself. And you can leave comments and leave reviews, and let us know if you agreed or disagreed or any further points that could be made.
Be nice.
Be nice, always. I always end my podcast with my 3 things. Those 3 things shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails, it's going to be okay, I might be wrong.